Let's say you're thinking about rolling out a product that combines generative AI with your own proprietary knowledge base, reflecting subject matter expertise that you've built up over the years, and you want to monetize that. Here's a thread on the OpenAI Developer Community page where more than a dozen developers posted more than 60 different messages on that topic over a 6-month period of time, while about 15,000 of the rest of us were watching on the sidelines. Although the title here refers to a GPT-4 chatbot, the discussion actually applies to any generative AI project using any model. And of course, the first question everyone has is, what price to charge? So it's good to see unanimous agreement there that 100% markup is the minimum you would charge under any circumstances, basically charging twice your cost. Maybe it's 2 to 3 times your cost. Maybe there are pricing tiers where lower usage has higher margin, but it looks lower because the absolute dollar amount is less. Maybe you charge 10 times your cost. Maybe 100 times your cost, as you see suggested here. The fact is, hopefully, we're pricing based on value. What's the value of our users' time in the segment we're addressing? The answer is different for lawyers than it is for college students, for example. And the answer is different based on any unique and valuable content that maybe only we can provide. And probably the answer is different for a really good and efficient user experience versus a more primitive or clunky one. But before we set the pricing, we actually have an even harder problem in our world that applies specifically to generative AI. The problem is, none of us want to pay for tokens that we can't bill, but we also don't want to confuse potential customers with a complex billing system or scare them away by creating too much ambiguity about what the service will actually cost. We reduce our profits either way. And that's an issue because heavy users can rack up charges that can quickly exceed what our average user was forecasted to do. So, most everyone agrees that the best way to handle this is with a fixed plus a variable component, even though doing that already sends us down the path of creating something that's harder for users to understand, which can scare customers away, which reduces profits. But what to do? And it turns out there are 2 competing schools of thought about how to handle this. One approach that you can see represented here is to bill in a way that's similar to a cell phone company. There's a basic fee that covers usage that's typical for most users, and variable charges for usage that exceeds the basic plan. With this approach, you might end up extending credit until the end of the billing cycle, just like a cell phone company would do. Any overages get automatically billed to the credit card on file at the end of the billing cycle, using Stripe or similar based on usage tracking. And if the card declines, the service is cut off, just like a cell phone provider would do. The other main approach is paid 100% upfront, and so is positioned as an amount of credits, which can be actual dollars or in non-monetary units of some sort. Users buy the credits they need beforehand, and the website shows how many credits remain. and users can buy more credits at any time. That approach never extends credit, and so it never goes into the hole. Let's talk about the implications of these two options. The problem, of course, with the cell phone type model is that there's some level of risk of non-payment. Users might rack up a huge amount of tokens and then disagree about paying for that. Needless to say, billing in advance avoids that risk. For similar reasons, the cell phone type model is more likely to generate misunderstandings and disputes and bad feedback about that on social media, whereas billing in advance is less likely to have that issue. On the other hand, upfront billing could lead to higher customer churn. Users might load one time, try it out a little bit, and lose interest. With no subscription, you'll probably have to run never-ending customer win-back campaigns. So your business model won't look very stable because maybe it won't be. Whereas intuitively, the subscription model should lead to higher overall customer lifetime value, blended across your entire customer base. Also, it's a harder decision as a consumer to go buy a bunch of credits, not really knowing how many you need or what you're going to do with them exactly, and hoping that you'll get some value from them when you try things out. That purchase upfront model requires a lot more explanation in the pre-sale phase. And since that's a harder decision for your customer to think through, your conversion rate probably will be lower for that reason. On the other hand, subscriptions are easy to understand, especially if you can cancel at any time. And modern market research confirms that people prefer a fixed monthly fee. And even with a variable aspect in there for overages, a subscription looks more like a fixed fee than the other option does. So you'll probably get a better conversion rate just from that. Now, how do we balance all this? Well, if you think about those trade-offs we talked about just now, it's possible to imagine that the risks associated with end-of-month billing might be worth the benefits in a B2B context. Or if our product caters to well-paid professionals like lawyers or doctors, for example. Whereas pay-as-you-go might be a better option if we're targeting a broad consumer market. In other words, our target market itself might well be a key deciding factor that tips the balance between risk and reward in making this important decision. To bring this to life in an example, I'll be starting a project soon that targets existing B2B customers with a generative AI feature as a new value-added service. And for that situation, I expect that the cell phone model will work out better. A basic subscription with a variable fee that gets billed at the end of the month to cover unusual or unexpected usage that might be generated from time to time by a trusted, professional, and well-paying B2B client base. On the other hand, I might charge upfront if I create a generative AI solution for people who want to learn how to dance better, for example. All right then. I hope that sets a nice framework for thinking about the trade-offs for this important decision. Good luck with your next project, and see you next time.